Okay, now you look at this pathway and it probably brings back nightmares for you, but again, you don't have to memorize the pathway. What you do need to know is that the alternative pathway is the one that's completely innate. It does not require antibody. Okay? What happens is C3 spontaneously lyses in the serum, and it has a pretty short half-life unless C3b finds the surface of a bacterial cell. Okay? If it does, it will initiate this alternative cascade for complement activation. Okay? And that's all you're seeing here. They both end in a membrane attack complex. Both pathways give you C3a, C5a, the anaphylatoxins, the chemotaxins, and of course C3b, which is your major opsonin and helps you to remove immune complexes. That's really all you need to know, okay, about alternative. Classical pathway, same thing, okay, except for we have to have the initiation of this with either IgM or 2 molecules of IgG. All right? Why only one of IgM? Because IgM is a pentamer. Okay? We initiate the classical complement pathway with antibody, so it's not just an innate component. Once the cascade begins, you'll see the same molecules come up: C3a, C5a, your anaphylatoxins. You've got C3b. That's going to be your major opsonin, etc., etc., and then your membrane attack complex. All right? So, you do not have to memorize the pathway. The functions of complement proteins are most important, and just distinguishing between a classical and alternative pathway. In complement deficiencies, which again we will talk about in the immunodeficiency chapter, early on you'll have inflammation, opsonization issues, which we'll talk about, and you can also have increased autoimmune disease, and then we talked about what happens with the MAC deficiency. So the last thing we're going to go over in Chapter 7 is really just to kind of put all the pieces together for you, all right? What did we talk about in Chapter 7? We talked about that B-cell, T-cell conjugate. What was really important there? The CD40, CD40 ligand interaction. Okay? Once that happens, we start to get class switching, we get affinity maturation, we get this nice pool of proliferating cells with high affinity antibodies. So the plasma cells now that have already class switched are going to start to make, and then this example will say IgG. IgG can activate complement, can also function, as you see here, as an opsonin. Okay. Once we get complement activation, though, what are some of the things that we're going to see? We're going to see our anaphylatoxins and chemotaxins that are going to help with inflammation. Okay. And then C3b, of course, is going to help with both opsonization and removal of immune complexes. All right. So antibodies are there initially. They're going to help us, of course, in eliminating those extracellular pathogens. How are they going to do that? They're going to help. The major way they're going to do that is through opsonization. Okay. Also by way of activating complement, which helps with the inflammatory response. Now, this isn't the last we've seen of antibodies. Okay. As we move into the next chapter, we're going to see that antibodies can, in some instances, help with the cell-mediated response to pathogens. Okay, but for now, this is the end of Chapter 7.